let's go.
All right. Well, I want to welcome everyone to Space Station Jupiter, where Moores is beaming in from for Coffee Talk number. Did we confirm 23 or 22? I don't remember off the top.
I wrote 23.
Okay, we'll just say 23. It can be updated when I finally log into the website. Yeah. First of all, we're just a couple housekeeping things. I have been a little AFK, unfortunately, a little bit of a family emergency. I don't really want to, it's not like a big deal. I also hate people who give excuses for things. So just saying that's where I've been a little bit the last couple of days. I haven't streamed PoE in a while. And yeah, hopefully by Monday we're back to normal schedule.
Nice.
So, and so I think we should just, without any further ado, get into the most insane launch like ever. I guess I don't even, there's probably not even a word to describe.
Insane how?
The amount of people playing.
Mm-hmm.
Just and then to be perfectly honest, I'm curious what your opinion is.
Okay.
It felt like a very smooth launch too.
Yeah.
I understand that stuff. Nugi can say I sent him a Discord message at like maybe 6 p.m. or something. I don't remember exactly. And I was like, thanks, Nugi. crashing the servers. But it really only went down that basically it like went down that once, then it like hiccuped 2 or 3 more times, and then they did something right, and is it disabling the ladder API? And then
I think it was to do with one of the API, like some tool. I think it was the loot bot or whatever it's called. The logout macro, because it has a function where it tracks your ladder position. So anyone using that will then be utilizing and there was apparently some coding error or something, so it just went ham on the API requests or whatever.
Okay.
But I think they turned it off for like every single API that was tracking it. Because it was probably like a cumulative thing, right? Where it's just all of them coming in together and just overloads the entire, like the servers.
Right. And so, I mean, anyway, either way, it was a totally insane launch. I mean, I feel like when things were going down, I was like, oh boy, could we have like 12 hours of this? Which I think the last time they had real launch problems, they almost cleared up because Europeans went to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Or and stuff like it was like a natural. It tapers off anyway, just given that I don't know. There's like a 6 to 10 hour window when a lot of people are going to play because it's the first day and all that stuff, and then tapers off. So anyway, it was just I was completely blown away by the amount of people and like I don't know, it just seemed nuts. I mean, what did we hit? 95,000 people playing on Steam.
Something like that, yeah. It was pretty crazy. What was the previous? Do you know the previous one? The previous time we had?
It's either 38 or 46,000. One of those two. I think it's 46,000 if I had to go off the top.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And the key part is that's peak. I don't think we won't know what the average or like what the daily number is until September or something. And so like as I recall, the peak was 46, and the number maybe was like in the 30s. Something like that. But those numbers were still very much in line with previous expansions, where they had a high number, and then the average daily, the daily average was a number that was reasonable. Yes, it was larger than the previous one, but it was still whatever. This is, they doubled the peak, which is insane to me. Yeah. And then on top of that, I don't think we reached peak on Friday. We reached peak like last Sunday. Or something, Saturday or Sunday, which I think is very. I would have said that was atypical, but I don't have the numbers exactly. So what do you think? We haven't really talked about because 9 and 10 we didn't know anything about. What's your impression
on on 3.0, like after the launch? Okay, so. I think I don't know. I'm overall I'm pretty satisfied with everything. I think that what they wanted, like what they pushed out were the right things. Pretty much, in terms of getting, like it seemed that they were more interested in having as much of the new content working for all the new players coming in, and then just kind of giving us kind of a scrappy league, kind of a, because it's kind of dull. It doesn't seem to, I don't think the Harbinger doesn't seem too play tested. Honestly, it's not, it's just kind of, okay, we have this idea about some currency that people have been asking for a while. Let's add that into that with like a playable end game feature, right? All the Harbinger and the what's that map called?
Beachhead or something?
Yeah, the Beachhead. Yeah. Right. So it's basically just a map you get, right, for upgrading it, and then that's kind of it, with some new uniques. So that's kind of cool. But I think overall I'm just really happy. The game just seems, I don't know, it just seems like a completely different experience going in from like the 1 to 10. And not having to like redo anything, and yeah, and just the meta is just, it's more my style, where you get rewarded a lot more from having a good way of killing bosses, which is really nice, because it is harder to like sustain your map pool and everything.
And it seems like, at least to me, I think they did a very, very good job on the 1 to 10 balance. Yeah. That's, you know, I have to say I'm a little surprised, but I guess in reality we did have the beta test up through Act 8. Yeah. So I think that, I do actually think that would have been the toughest part, because now that we see exactly how the acts worked, 10 is almost I don't want to say a nothing act, but it's basically you kill Kitava, and that's basically it.
Yeah.
So I mean, to me, Act 10 is kind of like doing Belly of the Beast in the old way. It's the same amount of time, sort of, maybe a little longer, but
a little longer, I think.
A little longer. But so I think they did a really good job. I mean, and they were the beta testers, but I think they did a really good job at figuring this stuff out. I don't remember too many changes actually to the leveling process from beta, you know, in terms of, oh, we're going to, you know, toughen this boss or weaken this boss or something like that.
9 seemed a little bit undertuned. I don't know if you...
Now, remind me which one's 9, because I only played through once.
Okay, so 9 is basically, that was basically the Act 4 zone, the Malachi zone, right? You know, you get the 3 bosses into...
into Stitches or whatever, like the horror. Yeah. You know, it's funny. I definitely... I remember being very, very nervous, because that boss I fought at the appropriate level. You know, it's a 59 zone. I was 58 or 59 or whatever. And yeah, just pooped on it. I mean, I guess I was SRS.
I felt the 3 side zones were good.
Yes.
But then the actual fight was kind of lackluster. Yeah. It just... Yeah, I don't know.
A little bit. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, so what's the analogous thing? I guess killing Dominus in Merciless. You know, eventually that became pretty easy to do, right? People didn't buy carries anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, they did sort of sometimes, but
I think the end fight, at least, like having the 3 and then the end fight should be the harder one, right?
I mean, I guess it makes a little bit more sense for it to be like that. So I mean, maybe they'll tune that just a hair.
Yeah.
I mean, but you know, I really don't want to discount the fact that I think on average people are much better players than they were. You know, so it's like you take someone who, you know, just someone who could never win a race, right? But then you took this, say 3 years ago, they couldn't win a race. If you took the person they are now, and then transported them back 3 years, they would be doing much better than people give them credit for now. If you follow my logic.
I think it's probably also just because the trio fight plus the actual end fight is a lot more akin to what we've just come from.
True.
Because we have just had a year or whatever of Malachi, so we all know how to fight him, and all the 3 side, like the 3 mini bosses. Yeah. So that makes sense, at least.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a twist on it, but it's still familiar.
Yeah.
Now, what did you think about Kitava? I'm curious.
We're talking Act 10 Kitava?
Act 10 Kitava, yeah.
Apart from the invisible stuff, if you put in and out, it was really good.
Yeah, I over leveled the fight because
Yeah.
everyone since I died. Well, just like, talk about invisible stuff. I did something I've never done before,
Uh-huh.
which is Hellman. Yeah, he was the one doing the phases on Malachi, and he had his TP upstairs. So I've
Okay.
never actually TP'd into Malachi upstairs and then gone downstairs. If I've been upstairs, I just let them. I'm getting a carry, and I
Hmm.
just sit there. So I walked downstairs, waited till I saw some stuff moved, and then he got hit by invisible stuff. So I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting how that. I just feel like that's. I don't. I'm not. I don't blame them. It's my fault. I could have done something differently. I just.
Hmm.
It's interesting that. Um, I don't know what the. I've seen some people talk. The only reason I'm talking about it is because I've seen people say the same thing you said about Katava, where there's
Hmm.
can be some invisible things, and you're. I don't know what the balance is to that, because I think that if we change things to where you don't like let's say TPs are disabled for bosses, because I've seen people say crazy stuff like that,
Mm,
but
yeah.
then bosses would have to be much easier, right?
Yeah,
Or
and you
you'd
can't
have to
just have it for one thing. You would have to rebalance everything.
everything, right. So I think we
And
just have to
the
accept.
whole like the moment you can't TP out and you're stuck in there, like I don't know, it's just you have
You
to
have
the whole balance like the whole game has to be rethought in terms
right.
of well, how do we want to challenge players? Because they
Eh,
definitely had some thought into it already, to where well
Sure,
we want players to be able to like get out and refresh. The whole potion system is built around that,
right, and of
especially
course
the long
they've
fights.
they've changed how they do it because almost all long fights now have a potion phase, right? The hard phase
Yeah, yeah.
is that then maybe the hard phase is too hard on Kadava, but I mean that's really meant to give you potions.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point of the phase. So yeah, I thought it was. I mean, besides I over leveled because people were
Mm-hmm.
saying it was so hard, and I thought it was a joke. But then I'm SRS, so maybe SRS is the current super
It's
strong.
it's probably the best starting build for well that and probably Saunders.
Okay,
You
I
can
did not know that it was going to be. I just was like, if I transition to flame golems, what's the best way to do that? And I
yeah,
did.
yeah.
I went directly to flame golems at like 35 in one of the 1 week races, and that was
Mm-hmm.
terrible. So
What level were
um,
you when you faced him?
673.
Mm.
Now
That's
I
quite
do
over
want to
leveled though.
quite over level, but I do want to say because people weren't really doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reliquary is going to be a place that people grind
Yeah.
once people figure it out. Because it drops
Is
a
that
couple of really good.
67?
It's 67.
Mm-hmm.
It drops a couple of good divination cards. You have to
Oh,
understand
really?
the layout. Yes, it drops the Astromentus card. It drops. I
Oh,
forget the other one. I sold whatever both of them were, but it's a
interesting.
weird. It's a weird layout.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
you have to it's almost like a tetra. I don't even know how to describe it. You have to zig and zag a bunch, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a huge. If you do it, it has huge maps. You just keep going and going, and either
Mm-hmm.
you get back to the door or you run into where you were and you TP out. And I was
Mm-hmm.
getting at 350 mil per hour in there when I was going as
Oh, that
fast
was
as
nice.
possible. So I mean, I think that's equivalent to Dried Lake, though I'm not.
On Scorching Ray?
No, no,
Or
no,
no,
on
SRS.
SRS.
Oh, right, you were SRS. That's right.
Yeah. So, I thought that was very, very good. So the
Yeah.
whole Katava's tough and we don't have a place to grind because I guess people, at least when
No,
I
that's
was
not
asking,
true. Like you, there are plenty of places to grind. If
yeah,
you need to prepare for him, you can.
yeah. So I think next league people would probably
Yeah.
just given how fast the XP was there. There's no point killing Katava until you're 71, 72 anyway.
No, you prepare yourself, right? You prepare yourself
Yeah.
for where and you get your resist ready, right? You have plenty of time to both sort your gear and resist for when you have to step into the map, and then to kill Katava.
And Merc Lab, right? Because I
Yeah.
realized that I did Merc Lab
Oh
before
yeah,
I killed
yeah.
Katava, and because you only have to have
Mm-hmm.
is it 30 or minus 40? I still don't know all the
I
exact
think
things.
it's minus 30, then minus 60, right? So you
Okay.
lose 30.
So you lose 30 the moment you kill
Kill
Katava.
Katava. Mm-hmm.
So you want to do everything you possibly can before that, since it makes it
Yeah.
easy.
Well, you can if you want to, at least.
If you want
It's
to. Yeah,
yeah.
if you want to. Yeah. And I'm trying to think what else. I did like some of the aspects of the Act 10 Katava fight that were I don't think they're there in the Act 5. The like napalm bomb, like in a cross, and then in the center is a huge explosion. I think that's the
Yeah.
one shot mechanic. I thought that was pretty good.
Oh, the what it so the four corners and it explodes inwards.
Inwards, yeah, like it like explodes, and then
No,
there's a huge
that one is in Act 5 as well.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah,
Then
the new stuff is the breath, the eye, and you know the crosses where he spawns like 4 or 5 explosions that can overlap.
Right.
Right, so it's, I don't know how you would call that, but it's like having multiple storm calls, you know, the same kind of idea.
Right.
You just kind of have to dodge them.
Okay.
Those are really scary because if you get hit by 2, they can kill you. Can kill most people.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, the other thing sort of interesting to talk about is, I guess it's inevitable. But once a couple of the sort of streamers from the variety or the whatever you want to call them show up, it seems like now literally everyone
shows up.
Everyone shows up. So I get that's pretty awesome. I think that's pretty cool. Well, I guess we'll see. So okay.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. That was my new roommate.
Oh, okay.
Who apparently left half a watermelon for me. Ooh. So that was very nice.
You have a little treat for after the podcast.
Yes.
But I've only followed Dan.
Okay.
Dan's gaming. So I see when he goes live, and I've been seeing him go live a whole bunch.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm trying to think who. Oh, and then I haven't had a chance yet, but I want to listen to it. Ziggy D went on whatever is it? Something Frames. Devastating Frames? That sounds wrong.
Like Lost? No, not Lost Frames. It's like something Frames.
Okay.
Drop Frames.
Dropped Frames. Okay.
Yes.
Dropped Frames. And people were raving about it. So I really want
to... He did very well.
Nice. Okay.
He was a good ambassador to PoE.
Right. And the guy who's part of the JP guy, I've seen his clips a couple times and seen... So, man, there's a lot of interest in PoE. I guess I think I kind of feel like, I don't want to be that person who's like, where were you guys 3 years ago? But I guess in fairness, right, there's no more.
But you see, that I don't think is really fair because the game was very different back then. And it wasn't really, for a variety streamer, it wasn't really a game to play. Right? They tried it out. Most of these guys actually tried out the game and just... came to the conclusion that this is not a game for them in its current state. And I think then that's something that also I think that's something that they also recognized. Yeah. Right? This segment of players, this like more like the more mainstream player is not really enjoying the game throughout. Right? They do the 1 to 4 and then they stop. They don't want to repeat. Right. A lot of people are not really interested in repeating and like doing the thing again, doing the storyline again, without anything changing other than a little bit of the difficulty. And all that got scrapped, or not scrapped, but it got made into the 1 to 10 instead. So there was a clear difference going, because it is basically doing 2 repeats of the game, at least for the 1 to 4 and the 6 to 9. The 9 has some more changes, and also some of the other ones. Like you do get there's obviously a change there, and you definitely notice it. Even all the old players, obviously it's not the same thing, and you get to encounter and interact with some of the characters in a different way, which is cool. But mostly like the 5 and 10 are the new stuff.
Well, and okay. The only thing I would say is that. It feels like maybe they did try it. I know Lyric tried it. And I totally appreciate that the game is much more pleasant to play through if that was the thing that bothered you. It just felt like there are a lot of people I feel like who honestly did not. I mean, I don't remember any of these streamers with 10K because I feel like I could have named for you every 10K streamer who ever played PoE at one point. Like, I mean, Wings of Death, this guy Arthas, I think is a Dota streamer who's like is a Russian guy. So like I feel like I know the people who came, and there were all these variety streamers that I feel like really didn't ever give it a shot. But I guess they were waiting for that super hype moment.
The thing is, it's this is their livelihood, and they have to find something that their audience will enjoy watching.
True, that's true.
And so you can't really fault them for saying that this is just not ready for me playing it right now. It's not a good place to be. It's not a good place to either grow my stream. Like, they're a business as well. Like, I think that's important.
Yeah. Do you think they'll stick? Do you think that they're going to stick around, or are they going to be? Okay.
I think even some of them are looking at this as they're probably going to be seasonal players, right? So they do their thing early in the season, and then like a lot of other players do. And I've done that as well before.
Sure.
So no, I think I know there's some shorty guy is apparently it's his new main game. Some people were saying. Okay.
Yeah, because he always struck me from the couple times I've seen him on.
Who is he again?
He's a lyric guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's basically if the analogous in the PoE community would be like Cybrix or Bob. Or maybe even Moors from Cripstream.
Okay.
But he seems to be the type of person who fits the ARPG. Mm-hmm. He likes this sort of game, I would have said. So I'm not surprised. That's why I was actually always surprised he wasn't somebody who had like really tried it in the past. I don't remember him. I don't remember him trying it. And it was actually really interesting to me. Is there a new WoW expansion or something out? Because I was surprised Kungan wasn't back streaming the game.
Oh,
that was a face I was missing.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, yeah, Kungan.
There's new Hearthstone expansion.
Okay, yeah, Moldrin didn't come. I didn't see Moldrin streaming. Maybe I missed them, but
I haven't seen King Kongo was streaming. I think.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a name I haven't heard in a long, long time. No, I think it's incredible. Not to go all old man.
I've seen a lot of old school PoE streamers coming back. DevMoon has been, at least during the beta, DevMoon was around. And Enemy EX, I don't know if you remember that guy. The cook, the guy who had like a bandana on, always like leaned back and smoking.
Yes. Oh my God, that guy's so long ago. Wow, I actually unfollowed DevMoon a while ago. Just I don't remember, or I still think sometimes Twitch did that thing where it unfollowed. Like, I remember there was a time where I wasn't following your stream, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And I was like, eat up and stuff. Anyway, that's so fascinating. DevMoon's back. You and DevMoon are the first two people I ever watched play PoE.
Huh.
So I think maybe it was Etup too in there. Those three of you that I can recall. But no, I mean, it's like, my God, it's so crazy the amount of hype that's happening. It's interesting to see, just to sort of go back a little bit to the topic you were saying, Harbinger is a little boring.
Yeah.
But I mean, anyone could have predicted that, but it was interesting that they tried to buff it. I'm sure there'll be another thing they'll try to do to make it a little more interesting as time goes on. And, I have to say, they did a couple of really good things. One, I was thinking about, I want to talk about the new MTX system. Sorry, excuse me. First of all, we knew that was going to be, so we can talk about that. But I want to, before I forget, the box opening mechanic that they introduced, where it's like,
have they changed something?
Yeah, when you open a box, it's like a screen now. You don't just like click it in your inventory, or maybe you do, and it goes to like a thing.
Oh, so it becomes it's like it is as a loot box now.
Yeah, it's like an actual,
There's a little event going around.
It's a little event going on, and that was a very smart thing.
It's kind of funny because that is kind of the norm with these kind of things, even though essentially it's the same thing.
Right.
Players are used to having it a certain way, so why not just give it to them?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's pretty smart.
And it was very funny. There was a thread, and there's a subreddit, PC Master Race, and somebody made a comment about shitty MTX, or like, I don't remember, something.
Okay.
And I made a comment about how Path of Exile is always looking for new people, and somebody was like, well, it's gone pretty pay to win recently.
What?
Yeah. So, it's very interesting to me, and I they have a point, right? Because that's true. before there was absolutely no even a whiff of what you could even make an argument for pay to win. You know what I mean? Like, and then they changed it so there's very, there is some quote unquote, if you want to be super crazy and like, think the worst of them, yes, having the stash tab for listing the items and more stash tabs. And okay.
To me, that's not really. It's more just attaching like an entry fee to the game.
A little bit.
Because it's a very. I feel like it's a very binary thing. You can't. It's not a win more thing. It's a you have this and you're done.
Right. And you get to continually use it. You buy it one time, and you get it for whatever. So, I guess they're right, but I mean, I just think doing purity tests on a developer that is already, I think, doing so many things right. Like yeah. So I defended them, and I was like, this is so insane because people like, so whatever the new cool skill is, people are always like, can you please release an MTX? And then Chris is like, well, we don't really want to do that because that seems like we're gouging our but then people are screaming for it. So I think you're right, where GGG, I think a little more, and that's really smart of them, has started to just do what is kind of expected. So like, is there a dark pack MTX? I would be surprised if one. I wouldn't. Oh, I should say
not to my knowledge. I don't think so.
Okay, I would bet almost anything that one is in the works right now.
Probably.
Dark pack seems like people are super all over that. And then also, I don't know if you, such as I were on a bunch of topics here, but I did see a Glacial Cascade build absolutely poop on Shaper and what was it, Minotaur or something. It was posted on Reddit like yesterday or the day before. So there's some,
Conversion Glacial Cascade is just one of the highest hitting spells in the game now.
Right.
It's just not a good clear speed one. Like the setup he had, for instance, is probably mostly aimed around the single target.
Yeah. But it's nice to see, some different things, and we are seeing a bunch of, I guess, Dark Pact. So I mean, I feel like GGG is doing the right things as best as they can, whatever those things are. That's all I mean. Just on all this stuff, they tried to change the meta. They did some nice MTX changes. Anyway, so we finally have the MTX system.
Okay.
We can talk about that. What do you like? We now fully have it.
Yeah.
First of all, it's really great that you can put the stuff on and then change your gear.
Yeah, that's nice. No, it's just a nice system.
Yes.
At least I get to use some of my stuff now. The thing is, I'm not like an avid MTX user. I've never had been, and I really, once I have it now, I don't care much. It's one of those things that if I sit around and play with it, and I see, oh, I need that and that and that, well then, if I have points, I'll buy it. Right? Because I'm sitting there and fiddling with it. Before, I wouldn't even fiddle with it. So in that sense, I will purchase some more things probably down the line, but I was never just... I wasn't really ever the MTX guy, so I put it on and I forget. Like I tend to just forget about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of blurs in.
Well, we gotta hope that I hope that cross league MTX skin transfer something happens. I'm fingers crossed. For all that's holy. Let's see. Another thing I wanted to get your thoughts on.
Okay.
We have a redesign of the currency tab. And it doesn't even hold all of the miscellaneous currency.
So that actually ties into something I also wanted to ask you about, because we've kind of been praising them right now, right? On all the good things they've done, because they have done a lot of good things. The release was really smooth, like A+ release. The downtime that was something you cannot predict. Well, it's such a meta thing, right? Where it's the community tools being overloaded, right? It's not something it might not even have popped up on your radar at all, like doing beta or anything. And then all of a sudden it becomes an issue due to amount of people. And they shut it down quickly and then no problems whatsoever. So that was great. And the launch in general, the balance has been good. And so everything like that is great. But what I was thinking is that, well, what are some of the essential things that just have to be done right within a release? And wait, what was the thing you were asking me about just now?
Well, we were talking about MTX.
Yes.
But I mean, me It was the currency tab.
Oh, the currency tab. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that ties into that. What should actually be available for players? It seems really silly that this actually takes away slots from players, because they have the currency tab, and they're used for all the thing is player will. This ties into what you were talking about last week, with the okay, we cannot use the MTXs anymore to protect our characters.
Right.
Because you've utilized a system that wasn't really meant for it, but you used it anyways and got used to it. Now we have the, well, where does all my splinters go?
Right. Yeah, you know, it's so interesting to me that we've gone to, I don't know, I don't want to be that person, but
Okay.
it's tough for me to judge a little bit, since life, you know, sometimes I'm an adult, it's weird. Life got hectic for me. But regardless of that, I was a little annoyed, and I was streaming it, and I'd forgotten. Again, it's and this has happened to me now 3-4 leagues. I'm having a great time, like we're just humming along, and I'm like, man, my boots suck, and I'm like, okay, you know, 30 MS, 70 life, and okay, maybe ES on them, because I'm a blue gem based character, super chrome. And I'm like, wow, there's a bunch of options. Wow, 30 chaos. I don't want to spend that. Holy shit, there's one for 7 chaos. And I'm like, I whisper, I'm like, or there's one that's not priced, and the lowest is, you know, 5 chaos. I'm like, would you take 7 for this? And he's like, sure. I'm like, wow, this is the greatest. You know, trading is so much fun. And then I'm like, oh, I'm also doing a minion build. I need to get a couple of essences of fears. I have tons of essences. I've just never seen a fear. Whisper, no response. Whisper, no response. Whisper, no response. Whisper, you know, busy. Whisper, will you take, you know, 1 chaos each? No, thank you. So why is it listed? And I'm just like, I just feel like screaming fuck at the top of my lungs, and like, you know, slamming my keyboard down and being like, this is so fucking stupid. I'm not even trying to buy expensive. I was trying to buy whaling. So I think that's the 5th level from the top.
Actually, when you think about it, I think it actually makes sense that currency is some of the hardest things to trade if you're not giving them a good deal. Because if you're giving people equivalent value, all they're doing is they're converting, and they have to take time out of their, like, whatever they're doing. They have to stop what they're doing, and then they have to convert a currency to the equivalent value, right? So they're essentially gaining nothing, and they have to then accommodate you because you're ready, but they might not be ready.
Okay. So I think you have a point, but my response is, the difference is we've established as a community what the medium of exchange is. Because remember, it used to be GCPs for, say, standard, and it was chaos for hardcore, and then, you know, now it's, I mean, I think it's chaos on standard now too, but exalts and chaos. So I agree, except for the fact that I'm giving him the more liquid currency. Now,
okay.
If it was reverse, where it's his chaos, I'm giving him essences.
Yeah.
Because I mean, people do that to me sometimes. They're like, you know, I've got 400 essences. I don't know what to do with them. Will you take them for, you know, 200 chaos? And no, because I don't fucking need this stupid bullshit. So, but again, he's listed it for sale. I guess he could be putting his essence tab up. So I understand that. I mean,
think a lot of people do that. I think that's one of the big issues with, because I've done that before, and it's the worst decision of my life.
Right. So, okay. And I made him after I died at after I died at 36 or whatever. By the way, I just want to say, you know how crazy Pio is. So my clip was trending, the clip of me dying, and I've had clips that have trended. And I remember I zoned into Malachi at like level 36 and died to something I couldn't see.
Oh, that's right.
So something that was the unfortunate part. Something invisible hit me, took me to like 400 out of 700.
Yeah.
Then one of the red, as I was running away, I stepped on one of the things that popped, which still did a lot of damage to me, which is surprising.
They do a lot of damage.
They do a lot of damage. But anyway, so but that clip of me was trending, and it had like, I don't know, it had like 1,200 views, which for PoE to have 1,200 views in like 20 minutes after the fact, so many people had seen the clip. It was not posted to Reddit or anything. So it just was showing how big really because I'm some shitty streamer, like 40 people down the list, and my death was replayed a bunch. So it's just anyway, just saying how insane the launch was. But so I remade my character name, Moore's Currency Auction House, please, and I really hope that 3.1 brings some relief in trading.
Yeah, no, I think so too. It's just especially since they decide to introduce another currency and they're still not addressing any of the issues that we have with them. Like it feels like just getting those extra slots, and but they only fit just what they have in this league, so they're kind of taking away from what we had. It's kind of a punch in the dick, I feel like.
Well, and and I want to say, obviously my answer is a currency auction house because I really feel like it solves a lot of problems. It's an unfun part of the game, exchanging one thing for another versus again, we've talked about, I think buying items, that can be frustrating, but for the most part, I think it tends to work about how they want it to work, in all honesty.
Yeah, no, I think so.
But they could solve, if they didn't want to do a currency auction house, I would take auto pickup of currency. If you run over it, or like currency that's currency that's near each other. You click one of them and it scoops all of it up. Then how about that? So like the Harbinger drops, it's bullshit, and you can click one of the currencies and everything picks up.
Yeah.
I think
on the whole pickup,
Okay.
You have all the options of just to say, like, you can go into the loot filter and you can decide what you want to pick and not pick, and you decide the value of whatever you need to take. And the easier they make that, they just devalue all the small stuff eventually, and that means that only the big stuff matters, and then all the small stuff that all the people just coming into the game, well, they pick up all the small stuff and it has no value. And I think that's something I would rather not see. I think it's important that you can pick up like some chromes or enough rares for an alteration or whatever, and it actually holds good value. And then later on, because it's not valuable enough for you to when you're going fast, well, then you stop. And there's like this balance between the players coming in actually having something to convert into the higher tier currencies. I think that's important to maintain.
Okay. Anyway, and for me, I'm just trying to present.
That's why options. I think the exchange is a lot better, because that's just right. Because then you still have the value, like they still have the value, and you have it, and you just want to exchange it around, and no power is being gained by that. It's just the exchange of the currencies that people are like holding on to, and then they want to use on something.
And like you've said in the past, it actually incentivizes people to pick up chromes if it's easy for them to then. Like, I'm going to just pick up I'm a little short on currency. I'm going to pick up chromes, and I can easily put them out there on the currency auction house and get, 5 chaos or whatever for my day. Anyway, it's just trying to present options, because I know that people are they have a dogma almost about how the auction house is what ruined D3, which is, it's like saying
like a one-to-one transfer of the D3 auction house into PoE, I think would be a disaster.
Okay, I think that's a really interesting question. Would a one-to-one transfer of the D3 auction house be a disaster? The problem is you couldn't do it because there's way more
it's way more well, it's maybe, I don't think that is the case. Like, that's the most dangerous. I think how do you buy out with 10 Ls, 5 chaos, and 1 exalt? Like, how does that then they have to like set conversion rates?
No. Well, so I'll solve that for you. What would happen is, first of all, I think there would be, if they actually had the D3 auction house, you could change currency inside it. Right. So there would be people out there, akin to the real world. There is a banker who is a money changer, and he takes a cut. He maintains a huge stock of a whole bunch of stuff. Of course, mostly
that's basically just having the currency auction house in there on top of it.
On top of it. But they would have that because there's no way they could stop it. Yeah. Well, I mean, they could, but it's stupid. And then things would be purely exalts and chaos, and maybe alks, and that's it. And you would never have items listed for 1 chaos, 1 alk. It would either be 2 chaos or 3. It would just you would just go down the ladder. So like if the item was really worth 4 chaos, 6 alks, then there's nothing like this. Everything's nebulous. But I'm just saying, then someone will be selling it for whatever that is in alks. Be 23 alks to buy it, and then they would expect you to change your stuff. I actually really think I tend to think it would work. People have all these doomsday scenarios, and I don't know.
I think the danger is that, okay, let's say a new player comes into the game. Okay, you need this, and this item, right? So you get these and these currencies, and every time you have a piece, you go to the auction house, you buy it.
Isn't that what people kind of do now anyway?
No, but there is an opportunity cost, and I think that it's having it actually take time means that sometimes you just don't, like, sure, to an extent, but you emphasize, like you exacerbate that even more to where that just becomes the way to play. But
people, if you want to do a high-end build, you're using PoE trade and all that stuff right now anyway.
But you just speeding up how people accumulate gear and how they gear up also speeds up how quickly they're done.
Sure, but that's true of the last 4 major releases, right? The gear acquisition happens now so much fast. We were kind of circling the
but do you then want to speed that up even further?
Well, I think the answer would be reducing powers in other areas and then giving us some.
But they have done sort that.
In what's that? Masters haven't really been nerfed. They've been changed a bit, but they still hold the same power. We have so many more ways to craft gear now, right? Essences, and the binding orb is pretty insane. Again, I don't want to say you're wrong. I don't think that. I just think that.
Well, it might be.
My only thing is we've tried this entire time, right? It's never been given a shot. Now, granted, them designing an auction house that works, that's probably not something. We can't just try it, and then if it sucks or it's bad for the game,
can't really take it away again. Yeah,
can't take it away. So I appreciate that aspect, and that's why I still go back to a currency auction house is the best medium between all the things. It leaves gear acquisition in wherever they think is a good place, and maybe they have first of all, I don't even know how they even know how. I guess because they can monitor their own API for the listing of items to see how fast things are being traded. I have no idea, but I think that's the good medium. But so we'll see what's happening, because I will say, I was seeing a lot of people talk about this. There was a huge, I was looking at it too, and I was like, oh my God, scamming going on things like Tabula, and what was the other thing I was looking at?
What was the scamming on Tabula?
They were being listed for fucking nothing.
Oh,
there was like 14 of them up for 2 chaos or something. So, so I just, this is the thing. I understand that the auction house would cause a problem on some end, but the thing is, right now we have a problem only on that end. I would rather if there's going to be a problem, I'd rather the problem spread out amongst everyone, right? So it's a shared burden, because everyone's like, oh, there'd be a bot, and people will be buying stuff out and all sorts of stuff.
Well,
sure,
the whole botting stuff, I don't think it's going to be a real issue. I don't think so. That is not really where the issue lies, I think, at all.
Okay. But anyway, the thing is, it's so puzzling to kind of go back to your original sort of point. They introduce 47 new pieces of bullshit to pick up, and then you're like, I don't even have a place for it. I don't have a place for Parandus coins and or breach things, and what the fuck's going, what am I even supposed to do with this stuff? So again, I have no problem. I actually think Harbinger's a pretty good idea for, again, the as we've talked about before, the 2 or 3 types of leagues they do. They do the big release league is sort of vanilla. Then there's the middle ground, and then there's the, legacy league where they just turn on the loot spigot. So I don't think it's a bad idea. It's just so weird to see yet again not the support for what the
No, I
league
agree.
sort of is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because especially, so let's just say mirror shards, exalted shards, whatever shards. Some new player who maybe is only going to play till Act 7, 8, 9, he's like, wow, I found this thing, but I need 19 more. What am I supposed to do with this? Versus if he could go somewhere, sell that for 4 chaos, he might be like, oh, wow, I have 4 chaos, I can buy something. And then he's like, wow, look at this, really cool thing I bought. Well, maybe I should keep playing and see what other cool things I can find. Yeah, and that's why I never buy I never buy the argument that it's the gear acquisition part. I don't know. I mean, the game is fun or it isn't, right? And like, if people are just going to accept whatever piece of gear and never improve it, well, they were never going to stick around anyway. So why design some? You know what I mean? Like, there's that small population, so we want to leave things in for them to be excited about.
But you also want to maintain the idea of using the currency itself for its other purpose, because everything just becomes an exchange for X currency for item. Well, I feel like that's just taking away from the game, where instead you would want to think, do I want to either try and find an item, or do I want to try and craft something myself?
Aren't we long past who is really seriously chaosing at this point, other than for convenience, right? Because given that,
I think that's an okay thing to do that for convenience.
Sure, but those are the people who you don't need to maintain the illusion for them. They know exactly what they're doing. That's sort of what, like, I think that ship has sailed, where people are like forced to craft to get something done. So much stuff drops. We know about the auction house, essences, and all these other vehicles.
I don't know, man. Especially early on, it's
okay.
Plenty of people alch stuff as well. Just
sure. But that was my point. People will alch and scour instead of chaos.
Sure. Well,
because there's so many other alch vehicles that alchs are very underpriced, right? So, I just you're right. I just think that
I would hate it if everything just became so much easier. Instead of ever trying to craft it yourself, you would always go to the auction house and just pick up whatever you needed. But I would hate that.
But then I think you are.
I might be a minority here, but that's my position.
No, I think that's a fair position, but it has to be inaccurate. Unless you cannot find the item, there is no reason to ever craft. You will always come out behind, I guess, in the long run, because someone's gonna be like, "Oh, Moors, I fucking alched an Astral and it was 6 tuple tier 1." Okay, so yes, the 1 in a bajillion person who does it, they're gonna be out ahead. But on average, across everybody, you're way behind versus just buying something or whatever. Now, yes, crafting the perfect item, that still remains, but that's such an exclusive, right? How many people actually try that? You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like the changes they've made to the game. I agree with your point. I just think that they've changed the game to the point where, even for people who are novices, they understand very quickly that with masters and all these other things, there's very little reason to go out of your way crafting, because
no, but it's just at least using some of it, right? Okay. Oh, okay. I just need a small upgrade here. Okay, let's just do it. Let's just throw a few chaos on here. Yeah, I got it. Yay.
Okay.
Just having that mentality, I think, is important to maintain.
Okay. I think that's that mentality. I mean, I sailed 8 leagues ago. I can't remember a single time when I've needed an upgrade leveling, or at any point when I've not been able to buy the item, other than literally the first 5 hours of the league. There's just such a plethora of shit available. Like, it's just boundless.
But it's just the perception of whether or not you should do, like, the more convenient you make the auction house, the less appealing doing anything else, right, becomes.
Yeah, I mean, but I would have said we were there already. Especially,
I don't really think so, because I hate doing all those things for, like, I like just trying my luck every once in a while. That's something I enjoy doing.
sure. And I mean,
And if I feel that any, like, the more efficient it becomes doing it the other way, the less inclined I am to actually try it myself. It's the same thing with, like, how you build your characters. If you're so far behind in what you're doing, at some point you just feel like it's so pointless, the thing you're trying to do, that you just kind of like, okay, you push yourself a little bit further in the best direction, right? In the, okay, I have to shield charge every time, or else I could flame dash, but like I like the skill and I want to do all that, but it's just so, like, there's just so far apart that I'll never do it.
Okay. Yeah, again, I think you have a point. It's just a question of, I guess what we really need to know is what is their vision.
Mm-hmm.
Because I obviously like crafting. I prefer to craft a lot of stuff, but it feels like, because crafting is so unrewarding at times.
Yeah.
And the thing is, people remember that failure very vividly. Whereas someone like you or me, we're just like, we're like, okay, well, you got to work at this, and you got to, something push through. Someone else might quit, right? Like I remember when people used to quit all the time because they blew 1,000 fusings.
Yeah.
Didn't even end with a 5-link, which of course that's their own fault, but again, that's the system.
Yeah.
So, and so I think that they're trying to do away with that stuff, which, look, for better or for worse, the game is now mainstream. I thought it was before, but I was wrong. Now the game is mainstream.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to talk about this because we're actually thinking about this a lot. But anyway, okay. I think that unfortunately we just have to accept that some of these things are going to change. I think that we haven't even begun to sort of tip the iceberg of things that might change to get more people interested in the game, which I think is there's a good spirit there, and we just have to hope that GGG does the stuff that we like. They stay true to their vision. Mm-hmm. And
well, I think they're trying to stay as true as they can to their vision, and that's why we're not getting these things. Like, that's why we're not getting all these small like quality of life things that seemingly might be easy to just implement, but it also has like a big drawback in terms of what they are trying to do. It might just propel them too far in the, like, away from that vision. Right. I think that's why they're so hesitant and just because I'm pretty sure they could design like multiple systems that would just like alleviate all of these problems, but then you're just left with a completely different game.
True, that's true. Yeah. So okay, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
What ends up happening. I'm curious to see. I don't know if they haven't done it in a while. I'm curious if at some point they're going to release a like actual peak player number count.
Yeah,
because I know they did stop doing after the like Taiwan. Really, there was a release in Asia. I don't remember which region. Maybe it was the Garena. That was the last time they released a concurrent player count. And I remember the number being like 119,000. Which was, I think, all players across all realms. They released that number. I mean, that might be 2, 3, 4 years ago. I don't remember exactly. But that was the last time they released hard, concrete numbers. So I'm curious if now, because I would assume, not to be sort of a pessimistic person, that they never topped that number. So that's why they didn't want to talk about it. But I mean, for various reasons, because the game seemed to peter out a little bit on Garena. Right? Right? And so, it's trying to find its audience, but it seems like we would have smashed all the numbers. So I'm curious if they'll release that stuff. And then whether we'll see will they talk about, did they smash any pack records, right? Because we had all the stream. Apparently, I saw like 5, 6 of these random streamers.
Buying all the big packs.
Yeah, the Katava and all this stuff. So I was a little sad when they were all going hog wild and all this stuff. I wanted to. I was so sad that there wasn't more of a I keep asking for it with a permanent skin transfer for some of these items because my God, all I want is Lyric to be like, holy shit, I want that shield, and then I can sell it for 400 million exalts. So yeah. So I'm curious, what's your favorite thing so far out of the 3.0? If you had to list or say, if you had something.
That's really tough, right? Because right now I'm just doing my all, like I'm just trying to level.
Right.
My favorite thing is that the meta is changed for me. I think that's my favorite thing. There's new builds to explore. There's not as much disparity between a lot of the builds in terms of how efficient they are. Right. Meaning that it feels a lot better doing something that's a little bit more wonky, and that just plays right into my playbook.
Well, so speaking of meta, it was very interesting to me that we got level 100
very fast.
Record time, 4.5 days or something.
Yeah.
What was Gucci? Was Gucci the one who was actually the killer this time?
Okay, Gucci was Necro support. Juvu was, I believe this is how it was Curse. Champion Cursor.
Right.
And then Steel was Deadeye Wonder. I don't know if it was mine or it was probably mine, just so he doesn't kill himself. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. So that was interesting. And then I didn't realize it had become a thing, or maybe it's just Havoc. Havoc was doing freezing pulse totem.
Yeah.
And my God,
that's been a thing.
I definitely
for a while.
That's been a thing for one of my earliest wins in a 1 week race as a character that was Iron Will freezing pulse totem. And my God, it was such a bad build. And I'm just looking at his character going so fast, and his freezing pulses were going entirely across the screen, I would have said, and shitting on everything they hit except the bosses. And I was just like, holy shit. Do you think what do you think about that? Do you think that it's okay that people hit 100 that fast? I mean, I sort of am just accepted that that's what it is. If somebody wants to dedicate 20 hours a day to leveling, they're going to hit 100 in 5 days, right? For 100 hours, basically, to hit 100.
Yeah.
If you really know what you're doing, you're going as fast as possible, and you're using seconds.
Well, it's basically because you can pay for XP at this point. Also, I think the Harbinger orbs really propelled it. Because it sped up the Atlas progression so fast.
Right. Because you could use what is the map change one? Is that the Harbinger? Is that a
Harbinger one? Is +1.
Oh, okay.
And change the map, and then you can also just rotate the maps you need. So you get all your maps done like this, where it's just done. And then I don't know, like the +1 maintains maps a lot easier, right? So if you just buy that and you buy Sextant, you're always at a certain level of maps, always. Yeah. And you just keep running those. Obviously, I'm pretty sure they just did the Sextant and the what's it called? The shaping strategy.
Yeah. Right. It's just I was surprised it was so fast, but I guess that's
This is you buy packs, right? You buy packs of monsters through Sextants. And if you have enough currency, well then you just nothing really slows down much from where we were before. Sextants was really the thing that just gave the most XP, I think. And then you do the beyond stuff as well. So obviously with the double beyond and all that, it makes it even faster with the Legacy League, but
because I'm only up to like tier 7 or something on my character. Strand, I've heard that Strand was pretty heavily nerfed.
It was.
That's the scuttlebutt. Okay, but then Shore was not, because I guess that's still.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's hard to nerf Shore though, because if you nerf Shore on the pack size amount, it just becomes like there's just nothing in there. There's it's not a very. I don't think Shore has the highest amount of monsters at all. It's just it lines up so well with Sextants because you put extra packs in there and then everything is clumped together, meaning that beyonding becomes a lot better as well. So if you have beyond on the map and you put the Sextants, and then you're just spawning beyond packs nonstop because it's such a dense area. It's also why race course is really that's why people do the race course now as well, because dense areas, and you have that for Beyond.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I tend to think it's okay. I it's interesting to me. I don't have a problem with people leveling really fast or pushing boundaries. I think that's totally fine. Yeah. I still really hate the movement speed meta a bit, but I think
it's a bit much.
It's a bit. It's here, but it's here to stay. That's my personal opinion.
You see, this is the same. This is where I think that they can. This is a system where they could do an overhaul on mobility in general. I don't think it has to stay, not in its current form. I think there are ways that they can. The same thing with they had to take back AOE and double dipping, right? But these are kind of like big systems changes. So you can't just got shield charge, because then you just push it into another area, and then if you add something again, well then that just exacerbates that again and whatever. So you kind of have to just step back and maybe rethink how do we want players to move around, to also make sure it's still fun.
Well, now not to switch subjects in here because I want to keep talking about this, but something you said reminded me of something that I thought we should talk about.
Okay.
That is new systems and
Pantheon?
In terms of things that did not really work out as well as people would have wanted. I posted a comment somewhere, and I'm not on my fucking computer, so I can't find it, but I wrote a comment talking about how I thought the real reason Pantheon failed was because it's if you think about power creep, they can either horizontally give you more power, which I think is how the tree was for a long time, right? Because you had 70 points as a character, then you had 80 points, then you had 90 points. Now we have 157 points or whatever the hell we have on the tree now. 120, what do we get now?
I think 22.
124, 123. So so
depending
it used to be
whether or not you take the bandits. 22 and 24, I think.
Okay. So it was 112 points was a done character at one point. Now that's your level 90 character, which is I don't know, 20 hours of play or something. But anyways, so the point being, so they can go like that, or they can go vertical.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that Ascendancy was a vertical.
Yes.
And then that's why we were so wide, and then we had vertical. So we were like, holy shit, power quadrupled your power. But then Pantheon was another vertical, but they didn't want to have Ascendancy again. So they made it kind of bad. And then now no one gives a shit about it. It's very funny to me because we talked about, I don't think they got it from us. I'm just saying it's like a trope, or maybe trope's the wrong word. It's a thing that happens in maybe ARPGs or things in general where you capture the soul of the boss and you get some of its power, right? Because I remember when we talked about Median XL on a podcast a long time ago, or maybe even this was pre-actual podcast. This was us shooting the shit on YouTube, and you were like, "Man, I wish you so many different ways to kill the boss, and you had to be." Again,
I really like the idea, like the whole acquisition of all the souls and all that, and give it to Sin and obtain power. I think that's such a cool idea.
Yes, the idea is really cool. It just feels, my God, Okay, I want to say something. This is I think the only problem with them as a developer, and now every developer. And everybody and everything in general has a good side and a bad side, right? That's just life. There's nothing's a perfect good, nothing's a perfect bad. So I think since GGG is the way they are, they have different problems than Blizzard does, right? Mm-hmm. We all can go on length about Blizzard. The problem with GGG is they're like a shark, right? See, Blizzard can do whatever the fuck they want. They're like I don't know what the equivalent animal would be, an elephant or something. They don't give a fuck, and they got a long memory. And you know what? If you don't want to wait around for our game, we don't give a fuck. And that can be a bad thing, because if the game isn't A++, people are like, kind of, go to hell then. Versus GGG, they're really, really good at designing games, but they are always swimming forward. Always. Mm-hmm. Gotta have new content, because it's a free-to-play game. There's no reason for you to... They don't get your money unless you like the game. So that's a positive. They tend to make really good things. Mm-hmm. But And they, as we've talked about before, the third version of stuff tends to be really good. But the downside is, I do think that sometimes they actually never go back. They improve what they release to where it's really great, but they don't ever fundamentally rethink things all that often. And I still come back to, I hate Forsaken Masters. I really do, but it's part of the game now, and I understand that. But it's really changed a lot and had unintended consequences. I think divination cards are another really good example of really good idea. At the end of the day, I actually think it fundamentally is not bad, but alters so much of what's going on. And I think that Ascendancy, while I didn't like it, but I've come to sort of, okay, it's a cool thing. People really are invested in it. Ascendancy made a problem where they can't add another system, right? Because then we'd have two Ascendancy systems. And we kind of have that right now. So if we had two powerful systems, then it's like, what's going on? Because Ascendancy wasn't part of the tree itself, or wasn't something that could be more easily adjusted, we now have we have like a legacy problem from that. And so I don't ever see how Pantheon ever gets resolved to where it works like we would want it to work, unless they fundamentally, because let's say taking, the Brine King's power, that's really kind of what ascending, I feel like, would be like, right? You've ascended to godhood by taking a piece of, you're a sliver of the infinity, to quote Brandon Sanderson. Right? You're taking a piece of God, and that's how, so it's like a weird, I mean, it's almost like they should have put the two systems together.
Yeah,
they are.
Like I was just thinking the same thing, right? Maybe if you take a part of some power, you can then alter the ascendancy, or right? Maybe ways to alter the ascendancies or something like that. Yes. Or even, and I was always surprised they didn't add more ascendancies. I didn't like the system at first because I thought that it would be tough to deal with. But okay, now if we've kind of gotten to a point where we're accepting what it is, we've balanced it. Why aren't there 5 options for Marauder? Well, to the point of before, with do you go like vertically or horizontally?
Right. Well, so in that sense, it would be horizontal. If we added more classes, yes, that would be. So to me, that's the better thing. So then we, instead of having
or more branches without giving more points, just give more branches, not more points. We have enough points, or we need more branches.
We need more branches, more choices of things to do. And, yes, I understand at some point there'd be some weird thing where it's like, well, if somebody does 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, and their things, okay, that's what we have leagues.
Yay.
And for that league,
that's what you do.
That's the super OP class where it's like, and they have to fix that. Okay, well, I think that's the nature of the game. It just feels, I don't know what they're going to do with it.
There's been a lot of talk though on things they can do and make them more impactful. I think visual cues on a lot of the Pantheon stuff can alleviate a lot of it. It doesn't have to be very powerful. It just has to be. It has to feel like it. It doesn't have to be like really powerful, but you have to feel like it matters. Your choice matters. Right, so you pick an ascendancy, so where you're surrounded, you get phasing. That was I think that was Tarky who said that. Which is really cool, right? Because you see, okay, I'm phasing now.
Yes. Well, Ziggy
not a too powerful thing to do, but it's just a whole visual aspect.
And Ziggy was on here.
Yeah,
like 2
that's right.
podcasts ago, talking about how, if you get the stun one, you some visual effect. And I was saying, my God, if your character grew, 50% in size, or like, there was a lightning from the sky or something when it procced. Yeah, I mean, that would be baller. Then you'd be more invested in whatever.
So I hope that they're really gonna revisit a lot of the ascendancy, or not ascendancy, but Pantheon. I think Pantheon needs another look.
Yes.
Right now it feels like a nothing system. Right. To me it feels like 3.0 was released, and we got all the new acts, we got new balance, and then Pantheon's kind of there. Right. It's like I don't feel it. I never feel like I have Pantheon throughout playing.
Well, and interesting, I like the speaking of, systems, they redesigned the lab a bit, right?
Yeah, they did.
Because now there's too many things to do, so they redesigned the lab. And it's so fascinating to me where I actually think lab's in a really good place, except for the fact that to me it doesn't really fit anymore. There should be
really?
two. To me, there should be 2 labs. I mean, the fact that you do it 3 times before then Uber, and that's only because they designed the system around having 3 difficulties. Right. In reality, the system should be redesigned to where you get 3 points, and you do the lab in Act 5 and Act 10, and then
so you do it twice to get the 6, and then
right,
2 to get the additional. It would also make that in itself would make Ascendant make sense. Like all of a sudden, Ascendant makes sense.
Yes, and then but then you have to accept that one of your points on a lot of classes is wasted until you do the next one.
Well, not wasted, but it's like
it's just another skill stat point.
Yeah,
and I don't think there's a problem with that. And it's weird because I actually think that the amount of time you spend on lab and dealing with lab so much better. If this was the way it was from the start, I would have had much less complaints about it. So I mean, I don't want to present it as like, oh, they have to keep changing it. I think they did a great job. It just now it just sort of doesn't like sort of make sense to me. The normal lab is done in 2 seconds to the point where I'm like, almost what's the point of this? Why not make that lab last a little longer, and then you get 3 points, and then you only do it one more time. But you know, I mean, I'm very. I think that's great that they did that. So I think that points the way to there are Pantheon. Right, that's there. They show they can do it. It's just gonna. I guess it'll take a league or 2 to figure it out because right now it feels. I did get a divine. I got a divine vessel off of a ghost. Yeah. In the first map I did, and I was like, oh, are these things going to be common? And apparently they're pretty rare. So yeah, I haven't seen one again.
Have you used it yet?
No, I haven't used. I don't know which. I have to figure out what I should kill for my guy. So.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. Actually, on the Pantheon, there's again something I think this is really bad. This is some of the Pantheons don't work.
Oh, do they not?
They just don't work. Right, there is a physical reduction one, that Lularis and Solaris, where they give you percentage physical mitigation, gives you % armor instead.
Interesting. I think that's one I have enabled for my character. In fact,
yes, so you're just getting armor. You're not actually getting physical mitigation. I think that's bad. That's something of things that needs to be done. Like the however much we like the Pantheon, fine, but at least it has to work.
Yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't been fixed already. That's surprising to me. I guess I did. You know, now that you're saying that,
they have tried to fix it to my understanding at least, but I don't know. Because I don't know. It just it feels kind of bad, right? When they release an entire new system and it's part of an expansion, and it doesn't even work. It's I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting though to note that there are so many people playing. We've had some really interesting sort of things go on, right? Like there's this bug where people's characters get transformed to a level 1 scion.
Yeah, that's true.
And they retain their gear and I guess the skill quest points they got. They don't keep anything else. But if you did a skill quest thing, you keep that point, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah. No, they're probably just really swamped with all the entire release and everything.
Yeah, I think that's understandable.
Yeah.
It seems like people have been what I've seen, there's been a lot of very positive, the sort of the general population seems very, very positive.
No, I'm 90% positive. Right, the Pantheon system is just a big letdown at this point. But that's only like a small part of it.
Right.
Really, like in terms of like how you feel about the game overall, Pantheon is just a small part of the game. It's not a big part of the game. Yeah, it's just a new system. Well,
it just feels like they were like, we have to add a new system because every time the games come out, we've added a new system. Either it was a new character or a new system for every major release. So
as a streamer though, have you been streaming a lot at all or anything?
For a couple of days, and then unfortunately my wonderful family emergency came up and I sort of was MIA. I had a lot of people watching me though when I was streaming. From my schedule's been I was streaming poker a little bit, so people are definitely showing up. I think I gained 2,000 followers.
Wow! In
the past week or two. I mean, because my follower count is a little lower than some of the long-term streamers in PoE, so I think some of that's just like I don't know, general.
No, that's great.
Yeah. So I think it seems like a very positive time to be a streamer. I actually have been laughing when I've been out here at my parents'. P.S. Can I say I'm literally in my mom's basement right now for all the people who are like, fucking Moors lives with his parents or whatever. No, this is literally the basement. When I check PoE, I'm always so surprised when I see like you and Zizaran, you've got 1,800, 2,000 people watching, whatever your numbers are, but you're like fifth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're 4 or 5, he's 4, you're 5, you're 4, he's 5, whatever the first two actual PoE streamers, you guys are 4 and 5, and then like 1, 2, 3
is all the big the big variety streamers coming in.
Yeah. JP with 13,000. I saw Lyric it was Lyric, JP, and somebody else is who I saw. Oh, Dance Gaming, and I was like, my
even
God,
Rekful has come over.
That's right, Rekful. That's right.
I did not see that coming.
I didn't see that coming either. So now, do you know that one time I beat Rekful in a 3v3 in World of Warcraft?
Oh, really?
Time. Okay, so okay. I'm pretty sure he still got rank 1 overall, but he lost to me. Okay, I want that known. I mean, the video I saw of his was him opening the passive tree, and it's actually really funny. You can tell how the progression of something by I don't want to say meme, but the responses and the comments lets you know where in the life cycle of something you are. All of the comments in Rekful's thing were like, bullshit, it was staged. Everyone knows what the passive tree looks like at this point. All these bullshit reactions. So it's just so funny how it used to be.
What?
There were a lot of comments like that in Reddit about it, saying like, come on, this is a setup. You know what I mean? Like, that's not his first time looking at the passive tree. Anyway, just sort of saying, it used to be people were so excited to see streamers blown away, and now people are a little cynical because they've seen so many.
But that's just that's the initial reaction of anyone.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying it's giving you an insight to how the game is really expanded. Because I mean, those comments have always existed. And I'm not. That's okay. That's just part of the internet. But I'm saying it's like it's not a. It's just.
Oh, it's not like exciting anymore to have a new guy come in.
Yeah, it's not. There's not. I didn't see any comments being like, wow, see, this is the great. Like that. They used to say this was more of a like nice. It's nice to see Rekful streaming or whatever. So you can just. I think just PoE. Popular now. So popular. So many people are. I wouldn't be surprised.
I think a lot of people is kind of like they see a lot of these big streamers just jump the bandwagon pretty much.
Yeah.
And so, well, if they're jumping the bandwagon, well, they're probably also just kind of not that I think they are. I think generally people are just getting. It's the same thing with anything, right? Yeah, something pops up that's really interesting. A lot of people join in. You want to be part of it too.
Yeah.
It's not even just about just like, oh, I want, like, I don't know, like anything that's exciting. Who doesn't want to join in? Who doesn't want to see?
And it's a perfect scenario because then people like you and me who've been here for so long, we also get to be super like, cocky and douchey about like, yeah, well, I was playing the game in 2012, so okay, or whatever. So it's a fun point in sort of the life cycle of the game. Because like right now to me is, I don't know, Wrath of the Lich King for World of Warcraft. That's what we're in the midst of. Now I think that's a harbinger. Oh, excuse me, that's a harbinger of doom for people out there, because I think for a lot of diehard WoW people, Wrath of the Lich King was the beginning of the end. Yeah. So me likening 3.0 to that has probably triggered some people hardcore. But I really never thought that there'd be this many people play. I think it's just the coolest thing.
I don't know.
And yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I've always kind of seen this coming to an extent.
I didn't, because I thought D3 died a year ago, right? Yeah. And nothing really changed. Wouldn't you have said? It seems like
sure. It's just there are some glaring issues, and I just thought, well, if they keep expanding on this game, and if they fix the most glaring, desync and performance and the things that are just really keeping players from coming in, the game is so interesting, and so there's so much depth and stuff to explore and just get caught up in, that if you can catch people and not have them just leave because of technical issues,
yeah,
right, then this game is amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I think it points to people will come and play something if it's worthwhile. And it's not the same, but I actually always think of the Total War series, which is a game I've always loved, been playing them forever. And like really the game released by the studio itself is an okay game. It's probably an A+ game, just given all the stuff, but it only ever takes on a second life once the modding community gets a hold of it. And you can mod it however, whatever you're like. Me, I like hyper realistic historical battles. So like, if I run my soldiers across the field, they fall over from exhaustion because they're carrying 80 pounds of armor. So, and so it's so interesting to see people will come back to play the game far in excess of what you'd expect because of the modding community. Now, PoE doesn't have modding. What PoE has is an active development team that wants to bring you back every 6 months and turns upends some things you expect. I mean, I everything has a growth and a whatever cycle. It just seems like every time you're like, well, we've probably plateaued. We could get a little bigger, and then there's another jump every time. So, I guess I don't know. I hate that I don't know. Is it out on Xbox?
I don't know.
Is it PoE out? Okay.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
The whole Xbox stuff, I don't know how it's going.
Okay.
I think that's fine.
No, I think it's fine. No, I'm just saying I'm curious if there's going to be another 30,000 people playing.
Oh, like that?
Yeah, from that, if they come in from that. I don't know.
I don't. So you see, the thing is, I feel like Xbox to me seems like it's in its infancy. It's if Xbox is like open beta, and it has a long way to go.
Okay.
Before that really, well, obviously, like, it gets all the expansions and stuff, but a lot of the things have to be like figured out, and a lot of the the systems within the game with picking up things, all these like things that will then turn away players because it's too annoying.
Right.
When they get fixed progressively, it's just gonna like scale up the player base. The same thing with if picking up loot is just too tedious, well, that's the same thing as desync, and it just scares away the majority of players immediately. But they will come back because they notice that the game is great. Like the core of the game is something they want to participate in, but there's just too many things just kind of that they have to force themselves through that they don't want to.
And I mean, D3 is a perfect example. I mean, D3 had a much better engine than PoE. I think maybe I'm wrong. I would hope that my 15,000 hours or whatever playing PoE is enough evidence that I like PoE. It still feels like D3's engine might still be better than PoE. Maybe you don't like the art. Maybe you like the art style of PoE, but that's different than the engine itself. I mean, not a critique of GGG. Who knows what Blizzard's D3 engine cost to build? $10 million. I have no idea. So just saying, but it was wrapped up in a poop sandwich in terms of balance and game design. At the end of the day, it's not something that. And again, I gave D3 another shot, like in season 6.
Oh, there are some many times.
And there it has some really, really good elements there.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, these are a couple of really cool things. But some of the fundamental item acquisition and some of these other things were, I just think, flawed almost from the beginning.
Yeah.
And how they, there's some, I don't know if it's a Pavlovian response. You press the lever and you get the reward. They fucked that up, it seems like. Whereas PoE is always trying to improve and make it better. So I think you're exactly right. The core part of PoE, if we can get people past some of the stuff that's not as pretty on the surface as another game, then they'll come stick around. Like I could see to me, your point that, Dan, Lyric, Shorty, JP, who else am I, variety streamer, Reckful, whoever, they'll come back for the next,
I think so.
League. Come back for a week.
Maybe
or two.
not all of them, but at
not
least
all
some of them will definitely check it out again.
Yeah. So it's
again, if there's no distraction, well then players are interested because other people are interested, and then maybe everyone comes back again just because.
Right.
It's just the thing to do.
It's a thing to do for a week or two. Yeah, I think that's great. What else was I going to say? I think that's basically. Oh, Um, I did see people talking about, and I just as a random thing to bring
Okay.
up, people were saying, "Can let us pick our own hideout music?" And this is a Reddit thread, I think, like 24 hours
Yeah,
ago,
yeah.
48 hours
No, I
ago.
saw that as well.
Okay, my God, or is what's his name? I can't think of his name now. It's on the tip of my tongue. Not Cormeal, Ormeal, whatever. The music guy for PoE.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, my brain is thinking Kumail Nanjiani, but that's the Silicon Valley Indian guy. But or anyway, people know who I'm talking about.
Okay.
He said something in a thread about how he likes that idea a lot. And the music
Yeah.
in PoE, I have to say, as somebody who actually plays with the music off, since as a streamer, people have asked me to they asked me to turn it off at one point, and I got used to it. When I turn it on, I'm always like, wow. And man, vividly, Breach League, the first time I did Chayula's
Oh
Zone,
my God,
and
the
I
breach
turned on the
music is
music,
so good.
so good. Yeah, my God, like just wow, it's just
They
so
just
fucking.
captured like the sense of urgency so well. Like you pop that and it just the music. I don't know. There's just something there.
No, and it's a really. I think there's been some real interesting research into how our brains work with that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. There was a game. I mean, we're off topic a little bit, but there was a Game of Thrones sort of compilation that somebody did
Mm-hmm.
for. I don't want to spoil people, but so Jamie Lannister has something go on in a recent episode, and so somebody did it's like retrospective
Okay.
of him set to music that I guess I don't remember hearing before, but I guess it's made, I don't know if it's from Breaking Bad or that's what the song is famous from,
Okay.
but putting this music, and it was just the music itself, the song itself has lyrics. Whoever edited the video just had the instrumental version.
Okay.
And I want to say, when I heard it, I immediately flashed to Diablo 2. I'll have to send it to you, Noogie, see what you think, because there's
Okay.
like a symbol or some sort of like weird sound in the background, but sounds like the same, like the music you hear when Crip turns his stream on,
Uh-huh.
whatever song it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Reminded me of that a little bit, but it was just this perfect music, and it was building, and there's all stuff, and so, man, I, I think it's something that's not talked about all that often. How great the sound and the music and the stuff is for PoE, and that's always improving too. Like, man, the first time I logged into, I believe, 2.6 on alpha,
Mm-hmm.
and the thunder went off because they changed that.
Mm-hmm.
I First of all, I shit my pants, and I thought that there was a thunderstorm where I lived in the city, New
Mm-hmm.
York City, because it sounded like thunder in the distance. That's how, like, I don't know, like little things like that really come. Anyway, so long story short, I hope that they letting you customize your hideout with the music
Yeah.
and stuff. I mean, these
That'd be
are,
great.
yeah, even if it costs $3 to do it, you know what? That's fine. It's a free to play game. Some people will be upset, I think, at that stuff, but it's like that's how they fund their game. I
Mm.
think that'd be great. I still want to pay for the Chris Wilson I'm Not a Beast of Burden sound pack. That's something I requested a long time ago. They never did that, but yeah, I think anyway, just we've never talked about the music, and I think it's worth a shout out how great. I mean, we're both obviously in agreement. Like, just so
No, I
fucking.
think they do really well on the music part. That one of my favorite parts to one of my favorite places to when I was playing the alpha as well early on. When I entered, was it? I think it was like the Oriath place, right? The hideout or the place, the town.
Cathedral
The
Rooftop.
Yeah, I think no, not the rooftop. Just where you are, with all the NPCs.
Oh, okay.
That area, I don't know. It was just so
Wait, what
good.
act? What act?
Act 5.
Oh, Act
Just the
Five.
whole
Okay.
feel of it, just with the music and the visuals and everything. It's just like that just blew me away the first time I went there.
Right. Isn't that something rooftop when you first go into it? Overseer's something? Isn't that the Act
Oh, and
5
I think
town?
it's a tower, Overseer's Tower or something.
Overseer's
I don't
Tower
think
or
it's a
something.
rooftop. I think it's a tower.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Something Overseer. No, it was.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I almost can't say enough about it. I mean, they seem like they really lucked out with this guy. God. Okay. Let me just give you a second here. His name is, what the hell is his name?
Hmm.
Path of Exile music composer. just get his name right. Camille Orman something. Oh, Camille Orman Janowski.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I was saying Kumail Nanjiani, that's like different order, but some of the same syllables. So, yeah. Anyway, well, I think that's it. Oh, is there anything else we wanted to?
Nah.
Okay.
We can always talk about more stuff later,
Yeah, okay, whatever. Well, I just want to say thank you very much for putting up with my space cam from literally my mom's basement. Okay. And yeah, hopefully the quality was good enough for anyone who's listening in the podcast and or watching it.
I think it was okay.
It was okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, be back to normal next week. We were thinking about having somebody on to talk about stuff. I know that maybe we should have people comment on your YouTube and this does seems to get posted on Reddit. If there's somebody they really want to have on, I was going to suggest Havoc as somebody.
Yeah.
To have on, or Steel. You know what I mean?
No, I can hit them up and see if they're interested in joining us.
Yeah. Just to talk about maybe Endgame and I don't know, anything like that. So I guess throw out some. Noogie has several people in the works. I want to say. I don't want to say who those people are because honestly, off the top of my head, I can't remember the two other people you were talking about. But yeah. So anyway, thank you very much for coming to Coffee Talk number 22. Anyone who's new, there might be some new players. This is actually new players, new listeners, new players, everything. We have an actual podcast, believe it or not. If you go to the coffeetalkpodcast.com, you can subscribe, through the RSS feed and everything. And then it's like podcast that shows up in whatever device. We are on everything. And then you can also find us on Noogie's YouTube, which is
YouTube.com/nugiyen.
Yep.
There you go.
And we've been doing a very, very good job, I want to say, of getting the videos. Besides, I'm telling we should talk about just to say it again, 4 releases, and like if there maybe 2 months from now there's going to be a 2-week race or 1-week race. If the race starts on a Friday or a Saturday, that will throw the schedule off.
Yeah.
So I want people so people are just prepared for that there'll be a little bit wonky, but we've been doing a very good job. Once it's recorded, it gets put up and then it gets up onto the podcast. So there's no problem with that. And that's due to Noogie. He's the one who handles all of the uploading to YouTube so that I can grab it. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you too.
I will see you on the flip side, sir.
Yes, go pee.
Yes, okay. You could tell that I need to pee badly, can't you? I'm like, God, I need to go so badly. I'll see you guys later.
See you.